This Faith and Finance podcast is underwritten in part by Christian Healthcare Ministries. Are you finding it increasingly challenging to find affordable healthcare? Christian Healthcare Ministries is a budget-friendly, biblical, and compassionate healthcare cost-sharing alternative that aligns with your Christian values. And it's available in all 50 states and around the world. Learn more at chministries.org/faithby.
Why is it that so many of us are quick to help others, but we never dream of asking for it ourselves? I'm Rob West. Studies show that Christians are generous people, willing to help when we see a need. But do we hide our needs from others when we could use a hand? I'll talk about that today, and then it's on to your calls at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial decisions. Well, many churches have benevolence funds to help primarily members get through a financial rough patch. And no doubt most church members gladly support those funds and want to see them used wisely as needed. But I'll go out on a limb and say that a lot of folks who readily support their church having a benevolence fund would and have found it difficult to ask for help from it. Now, why is that? Well, no doubt one reason is that we see asking for help as being a burden on others. We would gladly go without some necessity and maybe even see our families go without rather than burden someone else. And yet Galatians 6:2 says, "Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ." So you see, God never intended for us to be rugged individualists, going our own way. He meant for us to live in a Christian community centered around the local church and extending outward. God wants us to share each other's burdens, but that's not possible if we don't make ours known. Maybe we don't want to appear vulnerable or weak, so we keep our needs secret, telling no one that we need help. Or we might tell ourselves that others can't help us or they don't want to. Here, we must be careful because some of these reasons could be rooted in sin, the sin of pride. Proverbs 11:2 tells us when pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. Asking for help, especially financial help, can be a humbling experience, one many of us would rather avoid. It's even more difficult when the need arises from a mistake or a poor decision we've made. Yet perhaps the act of seeking help is part of the lesson, a reminder to reflect and learn and avoid repeating the same mistake in the future. But even if your present difficulty is through no fault of your own, God can still use the experience to shape your character more like Christ, to teach you something you need to learn, and it quite likely has to do with letting go of pride and surrendering yourself in humility to the Lord. Even the Apostle Paul received financial support for his ministry from time to time. In Philippians 4:19, he thanks the church of Philippi, saying, "And this same God who takes care of me will supply all of your needs from his glorious riches, which have been given to us in Christ Jesus." So, if you need financial help, ask for it. We may believe that God helps those who help themselves, but there is a reason that saying isn't found in the Bible. It contradicts its message. Jesus himself modeled humility, relying on Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Susanna for support during his earthly ministry in Luke 8:1-3. If the Son of God could accept help from others, so can we. Start by sharing your needs with your church community. If no one within the church can assist directly, there's a good chance someone knows someone outside the church who can. The body of Christ is an extensive network of people and resources ready to support and serve in times of need. Okay, we've gone over several reasons why you may not want to ask for help, but here are the main reasons why you should do it. It glorifies God. How, you might ask? Well, first, asking others for help glorifies God because in our weakness, his strength is revealed. In 2 Corinthians 12, Paul writes, "For the sake of Christ, then, I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong." When we are weak and admit it, we give others the opportunity to help. Conversely, if you keep quiet about your need, you deny others the chance to help, and they may really want to help. Ultimately, you deny God the opportunity to provide for you through others. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, you're more likely to go to God in prayer, asking Him for help. The Bible encourages this. 1 John 5:14 teaches if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. When you pray for God's help according to His will, He will help. Not with bags of money falling from heaven, but through other people and circumstances. Maybe He provides a new opportunity for you to earn more. The point is, to get help, you have to ask for it, and that includes and begins with asking the Lord. It's good to do because it not only glorifies the Father, it allows others to be generous as they're called to do. All right, your calls are next. The number 800-525-7000. We'll be right back.
We're grateful for support from Guidestone, whose diversified suite of investment solutions align with Christian values to create positive change in the world. More information is available at guidestonefunds.com/faith. Investing involves risk, including potential loss of principal. Carefully consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of Guidestone Funds before investing. They're distributed by Foresight Funds Distributors, LLC, which is not an advisory affiliate, a registered investment advisor, nor do they provide investment advice.
You're young. You don't go to the doctor that often, yet health insurance is still so expensive. If your health insurance costs too much, maybe you should switch to an affordable alternative. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers programs starting under $100 per month. Check off the affordable box on your list and get back to what you really love, running your business or caring for your kids, and have peace of mind while doing it. Visit chministries.org/faithfi to enroll today.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. Well, we'd love to take your calls and questions today on anything financial as you think about your role as a steward in managing God's money. I know along the way, as I do, there are questions that come up, things you're wrestling with. You want a sounding board, and you always want to look at each issue through the lens of God's Word, because as we live out a biblical worldview, it includes every domain of our life, and that certainly includes our money management. So what questions do you have today? You can call right now, 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. We've got some lines open today, and we'd love to tackle whatever is on your mind. All right, let's begin in Arkansas today. Jonathan, you'll be first up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I've got a question. I'm trying to figure out, I need to get myself back on track, and it's kind of I feel like I've got a grief, and my grief is compounded. I'm a bivocational pastor, and I'm trying to lead and to guide the congregation that God has entrusted me with in the most godly way that I can. And of course, I receive an income from them. I work a full-time job. I'm a government employee, so I've got a pretty substantial income there. My wife also works. Between the two of us, with all three incomes, we're well into the six-figure income. However, we've gotten ourselves into a situation between payments and things of that nature that we can't give the way that we need to be giving, nor the way that I want to be giving. I do see some relief in the near future. As a government employee, I'll be getting a raise, a cost of living allowance, and then right around the end of February, first part of March, I will be getting a step increase. So my salary range, I'm looking at close to about a $7,000 to $8,000 salary increase. And also my truck will be paid off in March. That will be the last payment on my truck. So I will have some income that's going to be getting freed up. But like I said, I feel like I've just gotten like most Americans, I've just got myself so strapped underneath all these payments and these things. I feel like I can't give like I want to give. My heart wants to give, and I just feel like I can't, because when the paychecks hit, everything is gone to make payments and try to catch up with things. I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss.
Well, I think what you're sensing here, Jonathan, is the starting point, because unless there's some tension there kind of in your own heart and mind, you're not going to do anything about it. And lifestyle creep is the biggest barrier to accomplishing any of our longer term goals, whether that's giving more, saving more, reducing debt, whatever it is. And so we've just got to fight against that, because there's this, you've got inflation that was it's been challenging because now everything's more expensive. But on top of that, as you get these increases, your level of spending will always rise to your level of income unless you protest to the contrary. And, that's something you and your wife need to have a united front on. Have you all had these conversations, and is she sensing the same thing?
Yes, she is. And like I said, it just seems to, we've got two teenagers in the house.
Yeah.
And it's tough because, the teenagers, they want to do things. We've got one that's driving. And luckily, his twin sister has not taken an urge to start driving. She's okay with just letting him drive her around, which is great because there's that extra burden of, two vehicles, two gas bills, two insurance, all that stuff is not there. It's just one. But yeah, she does share the same frustration and conviction that I do. But
Good.
Like I said, for me, it's a more compounded because I'm a bivocational pastor, and I almost feel like I'm being hypocritical because I'm standing here as this person over my, with the congregation God's given me, and I feel an extra burden of grief because I'm like, Jonathan, you're fake. And that's what I feel in my spirit. I feel fake. But at the same time, I have the desire, because this is what I want to do. But I just, I kind of feel like Paul. The very thing that I want to do, I don't do. The very thing that I don't want to do, that's what I do. And, I wrestle with that daily. So, I've got my giving and everything, my saving and everything set through my TSP, and my wife has got hers set through her retirement. And that's kind of, my mind, that's my beginning point is to say, okay, match what am I putting into my TSP? That's what I need to match what goes into the offering plate. Whatever she's matching into her retirement, she needs to get hers to a 10% and then match whatever she's putting in. But and I know it's going to take some sacrifices, but with inflation and cost of everything, my insurance has gone up over the last year and a half. My insurance has gone up, about $100 a month. With no accidents or anything, or cell phone. You get four phones on a cell phone bill, you're looking at $400 a month. It's just, and I know a lot of people listening to this are thinking, hey, I feel the same pain he does, because it's real,
here's the reality is, I think you're headed down in the right direction here. And I think we have to recognize that, we're all, everybody's listening to you and nodding their heads and saying, yeah, I feel like Paul as well. The things I know I should do, I don't. Things I should, And so as we look at this, I think the first step is to step back and do what you're doing. And this is a great time of year to do it, Jonathan, for you and your wife, spend a few hours just, first of all, in prayer, just asking the Lord, give us wisdom, help us to see what we need to see, help us to have the fortitude and the endurance to make the hard decisions. And then you need to start to define your values, because before you get to financial decisions and even before you get to goals are your values as a Christ follower. And you're already talking about some of them. What's important to us? Well, it's important to us to make memories with our kids. It's important to us to provide for them. It's important to us to live simply. It's really important to us to be able to give generously as I lead a congregation. And so as you begin to identify those, then those translate into goals. And then the goals translate into a spending plan, because ultimately your lifestyle spending, your monthly discretionary spending beyond just the things that are locked in, like the truck payment that's going away and the mortgage and the utilities, it's that discretionary spending that's going to get in the way. And that's where you and she need to have some hard conversations to say, listen, if our money management tells a story about what's most important to us and we don't like the story it's telling, we've got to do something about it. And that may mean you get the kids involved and sit them down once you come up with the budget and say, listen, guys, we love you all, but one of the things we want to show you is that there's limited resources and we've got to live on a plan. And let me talk to you about why we think it's so important that we can give generously. And here's what that means. We're going to dial back and we're all going to make some sacrifices. But I think you've got to get to the place where the values are defined, the goals are defined, and then that translates into a spending plan that actually reflects that. Listen, it's not going to work perfectly every month, but you got to get to the place where you have a plan that works, as you said, income's going up. We got to fight not to increase lifestyle when that happens. The truck payment's going away. Great. What if that truck payment was redirected immediately into additional giving? I love that you are, saving for the future. That's great, taking advantage of the match. But then once you have that spending plan in place, we've got to have a system that controls the flow of money in and out. That's why we created the Faith.he app. That could be a tool. Doesn't matter which one you use, but you and your wife need probably a weekly money date to sit down and not point fingers, but to say, how did we do this week? And what course corrections do we need to make? And are we off plan with any of our envelopes? And how do we get back on track? Let me do this. I want to give you 6 months of a pro subscription to the Faith.he app. That might be a tool in this, but hopefully this will get you pointed in the right direction. Hang on the line. 800-525-7000 is the number to call. We're going to continue taking your questions here in the final segment of the broadcast. Maybe room for one more question here in this next segment. 800-525-7000 is the number to call. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial decisions. We'll take a quick break and then be back with much more right after this. Stick around.
Imagine having biblical financial wisdom delivered to your inbox every week, helping you integrate your faith and financial decisions for the glory of God. At faith.he.com, you can join a community of over 70,000 people who are already receiving our weekly wisdom email, filled with articles, videos, podcasts, and exclusive offers on resources that will deepen your understanding of biblical stewardship. Start your journey today by creating your Faith.he account at faith.he.com. Just click Sign Up.
If the heavy burden of debt is robbing you of freedom and peace of mind, Christian Credit Counselors can help. We're a nationwide nonprofit credit counseling organization that has helped over 300,000 individuals in the last 27 years get out of credit card debt 80% faster while honoring that debt in full. To learn how Christian Credit Counselors can help you, visit ChristianCreditCounselors.org. That's ChristianCreditCounselors.org, or call 800-557-1985.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. I'm Rob West. We're taking your calls and questions today, 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. Let's go back to the phones. Tampa, Florida. Hi, Tammy. Go ahead.
Hi, Rob. My question is true or false. Can I keep an inherited IRA from my dad that I got in 2017, and can I keep that, or do I have to somehow put it someplace else?
Well, you have to start pulling the money out, and you've probably been doing that along the way, I suspect. Is that true? Have you been taking required minimum distributions?
RMDs. Yeah. RMD.
Yeah, so because you inherited this as a non-spouse inherited IRA before 2020, because it all changed in 2020 as of January 1st, then you're probably under what's called the life expectancy method. So that just simply means you take required minimum distributions based on your life expectancy starting the year after the original account holder's death. And so basically the way that works is, each year you would take the balance based on, the account value and multiply that times the life expectancy factor that the IRS makes available. And then that's the amount you have to take by December 31st of the year of that year. And you do that until it's eventually depleted in full, but you don't need to do it any quicker than that.
Okay, so I'm okay. So great. Thank you. Yeah. That was my question.
All right, and then where you put that money is completely up to you. The only thing the IRS cares about is that you're taking it out based on the schedule that they provide. And if he had he started taking RMDs before you got it?
Yes, he did. His was a lot higher.
Okay. So you may want to check. Do you have a CPA or somebody that you work with to prepare your tax return?
I have an enrolled agent that does mine every year. Yeah.
Great. And has he looked at that, or she, just to make sure you're doing this the way you need to?
Never said anything. Every year, it's been for a long time, 10 years, and he's never said anything. So I just keep sending him my information, and he sends it back, and I pay taxes, and that's it. It's simple.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so because he took an RMD, had started taking the RMDs, you would have had the 5-year option, but it sounds like you're going under the life expectancy option, and just make sure he's aware of that. But it sounds like you're doing everything properly. And again, you can put the money wherever you want. The key is just that you take out at least the required minimum each year until it's eventually exhausted.
Got it. Okay, I'll bring that to his attention next month when I send it all in.
Very good.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Tammy. Lord bless you. Thanks for your call today. Let's go to Lakeland. Hi, James. Go ahead.
Hey, hello. I'm 73 and in good health now, but in the future, if I should go to a nursing home, I know they can take everything I have. So how can I protect any assets I have from the nursing home taking it?
Yeah. So you give me a rundown of the assets that you have.
Well, I have a home and about $100,000 in cash and securities.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I mean, so the only thing you could do would be to put your assets into a trust, Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, or an irrevocable trust, essentially. But they do have a 5-year look-back period, and the last thing we'd want to do is try to hide assets. I mean, the idea here is that Medicaid would kick in once your assets have been depleted. And so, they have limits as to the amount that you can have. In most states, you've got to spend down to less than $2,000 in countable assets to qualify for Medicaid. Now, certain assets like your primary home up to a limit may not count toward this limit. But really the only other way to do that, other than, just to spend that down and then rely on Medicaid, would be to, set up that irrevocable Medicaid trust. And you could go to an estate planning attorney to talk about that, perhaps an elder care attorney who specializes in that. The other option would be a Medicaid compliant annuity. And so there are insurance products, annuities that, that are Medicaid compliant, where an income stream isn't counted as an asset by Medicaid, but rather as income. And so you could look at that. And then the other would be what's called a life estate, where you transfer it to your heirs while retaining a life estate. So you have the right to live in it for the rest of your life. And that could protect your home from Medicaid estate recovery. So you could look at any of those options. I'd probably start with an attorney who specializes in elder care just to talk through your options. And you could involve a financial advisor as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, but each one of those, do you have to be at least 5 years ahead of time?
Yes, typically. So now, but once you get back past the 5-year look back period, then you would be fine there. I'm not sure whether the 5-year look back would apply for the annuity if you wanted to go that route. So that's where, again, an elder care attorney could look at your specific situation, the laws of your state, because it does vary by state, and then tell you what options you have.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, James. Thank you for your call today. We appreciate it. We're going to finish today in Michigan. Michael's been waiting patiently. Michael, you'll be our final caller. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks for taking my call, Rob. I'm
Sure.
59 years old. I have everything paid off. I have a fully funded emergency fund. I'm contributing to my 401k, so that's looking good. And I have about $200,000 that I would like to invest, and just wanted to get your opinion. There's lots of options, obviously. I want to be somewhat conservative, but at the same time, I don't want to miss out on a good market and making money that can be used for the kingdom. So there's fixed annuities I can get for 5.5%, or do I jump on some of the crypto, or what do you recommend?
I mean, what I would recommend is going to sound pretty plain vanilla, and that is just, buy some high quality mutual funds that are balanced. Because at 60, you would typically, have maybe a 50-50 portfolio. If you want to be a little more aggressive, you could go 60-40 stocks to bonds. But I love the position you're in with the fully funded emergency fund. You've got the retirement assets. You're completely debt free. So you're in a really good spot here to take a little bit of risk, take a long-term view, if the Lord tarries, you might need this money to last 30 to 40 years. And so, let's invest it wisely. You could align it with your values and use one of the faith-based investing mutual funds like Eventide or Praxis or Guidestone or One Ascent. You could use indexes, or you could just use, actively managed funds. But I'd probably look for a balance in a fixed income fund where you're going to participate in the rise in the prices of the bonds as the interest rates fall, and then some good high quality growth mutual funds to complement that. Nothing terribly exciting, but you can kind of set it and forget it and watch it grow over the next couple of decades. I hope that helps. If you need some advice, you can connect with a CKA at faith.fi.com. That's going to do it for us today. I hope you found something encouraging and helpful today. A big thanks to my team. I certainly couldn't do it without them. Amy, Dan, Taylor, and Jim. May the Lord bless you, and I hope you'll come back and join us next time on Faith and Finance. We'll see you then.
Faith and Finance is provided by FaithFi and listeners like you.